Welcome to the Unit 6 lecture for DES2 on Section View Basics by Todd Frazee. Section views. Section views are an important drawing convention to clarify details on a drawing by improving visualization on multiple drawings and facilitating dimensioning on features obscured in a standard orthographic views, like the section view labeled AA in the example on the right. The technique is based on passing an imaginary cutting plane through an object, like shown in the front view of the drawing on the right. The section view then displays the object from the viewpoint correlating with the arrows, as if the material between the cutting plane and the viewer has been removed. Section views are primarily used to improve clarity, reveal interior features of an object, and eliminate hidden lines, as is in the example on the right. By a section view, as shown on the far right, rather than the standard projected view shown on the near right, the interior of the example part can be described and dimensioned without any hidden line references in the forward-facing view. Let's review the basic principles of sectioning with the example object on the right. If we were to draw standard views of the object as shown on the right, we would have hidden lines for all the interior features occurring in the front view. Adding a section view allows for the object to be cut by an imaginary section plane. The cutting plane is defined in the drawing by drawing a cutting plane line in a view normal to the section view, as the direction of view is designated with the arrows, as shown in the top view of the example on the right. The portion of the object between the viewer and the plane is removed, revealing all the interior features as visible lines, as is in the section view on the right. In this case, the view is in the front viewing plane, replacing the standard orthographic front view. Hidden lines follow different rules than standard orthographic views. Typically, hidden lines are omitted, but they are an option when providing clarity, like in this example on the right, which has a feature behind the cutting plane clarified with a hidden line. The surfaces and edges in section views are depicted in a specific way. Surface areas sectioned by the cutting plane are filled with section lines, and the edges beyond the section plane are represented by visible line type, as shown in the image on the right. The ASME Y14.5 standards defines standards for cutting plane lines, and you have the option of one of two line types, but use the same line type throughout your individual drawing. The first line type is similar to a phantom line, with the continuous solid line interrupted at 20 to 40 millimeter intervals by a pair of dashes, 3 millimeters long, and gaps of 1.5 millimeters, as shown on the right. The second line type is a series of dashes, 6 millimeters long, with 1.5 millimeter gaps. I typically choose to use the second approved line type so that the cutting plane lines are not confused with phantom lines. Each arrow on the cutting plane line is labeled with a letter that's unique to the view to designate which section view the line is associated with. The section view is always placed on the opposite direction of the arrows, as shown on the right. ASME Y14.5 also has standards for section line patterns. The pattern of the section lines may be used to indicate material if standard ASME patterns are used which are shown on the right. This graphical convention is not to be a substitute for full material specifications in the title block or bill of materials. If the designer does not wish to indicate specific material with the section lines, the pattern for cast iron is generally used with the lines drawn at a 45-degree angle. The lines need to be consistent in line weight, angle, and evenly spaced. Although placing text within a view is discouraged, if text or dimensions are placed in the section area of a view, the section lines are to be broken for legibility. To avoid section lines from being confused as a feature by running either parallel or perpendicular to features, the angle of the section lines may be altered. When sectioning an assembly, alternate the direction of the section lines to differentiate between components. In this unit, we cover the three basic section view types, which are the full section view, which sections completely through the object, the half section view that sections halfway through the object, and the broken out section view that sections a portion of an object and has a boundary that is at the discretion of the designer. Full section views section the entire object and should section major interior features. Like the example on the right, the cutting line for the section view is shown in the top view, cuts through the center of a pocket with two cylindrical features that occur in the front view as hidden lines. The section view can take the place of the standard orthographic front view, and hidden lines are omitted unless they are needed clarification of a hidden feature. The procedure to develop a full section view has 5 steps. First, determine the best orthographic angle to display the internal features that normally would appear as hidden lines. Second, draw the orthographic view to be sectioned. In our example on the right, it is the top view. Third, draw the cutting plane line with the arrows in the direction desired. In our example, they are pointing in a direction to result in a section view in the frontal plane. Fourth, project lines and draw the section view on the opposite side of the parent view, which will occur in the front view in our example. Add section lines to the surface cut by the cutting plane line is the final and 5th step. Now let's go to a real-world example of a full section view by returning to our pumpkin example. For our example, since Halloween's coming up, we're going to use a pumpkin. And we put this pumpkin in an acrylic box so we can draw each view. Top, front, left side view, the back view, and the right side views to describe our pumpkin. Now, if we were to unfold the box, this is what our orthographic views would describe to detail out our pumpkin. So what would it look like for us to do a full section view of our pumpkin? Well, let's put Jack back in his box and find out. And then we will turn to the top view, where we'll look down at the pumpkin. We then draw a cutting plane line, sectioning the pumpkin in the top view vertically. And if we draw our arrows pointing to the left and label them AA, our section view, labeled AA, will occur on the right side. displaying the pumpkin guts on the inside in all its glory. Now if we unfold the box and place the view in its proper place, this is what our section view AA would look like on our orthographic projected views. Now let's go take a look at the next type of section view. The second type of basic section view is the half section view, which follows a similar projection technique as the full section view, but is created by an imaginary cutting plane halfway through the object with a 90-degree bend, resulting in 1/4 of the object being removed. The cutting plane will have one line on center line and only one arrow denoting the viewing direction, like the example on the right. This section would be designated with a single letter. The section view would appear as shown on the right, and hidden lines are omitted on both halves of the view unless they are needed for clarity. Half sections views are typically used to depict symmetrical and cylindrical objects, like the bracket on the right. Now let's return to our pumpkin example and see what a half section view would look like in real life. So we put Jack back in his box and we turn to the top view again. And in that top view, we draw a section view labeled A that points to the left and goes to center line, and then the line continues to the right on the center line. This will denote that we're going to be looking at the half section view from the right side view plane. This will result in a half section as shown, only showing half of the guts of the pumpkin in all its glory. When we unfold the box, our half section view occurs in the right side viewing plane as shown. Now let's go back and look at the last and final basic section view in this lecture. The final basic section view covered in this lecture is the broken out section view. Broken out section views are used to section a portion of an orthographic view rather than creating an entirely new view. Being a more free-form technique, the boundary of the broken out section is defined by a line that looks intentionally jagged or hand-drawn, so it is not interpreted as a feature. Broken out section views do not use a cutting plane, so the depth of the view is open to interpretation. Like other types of section views, hidden lines are omitted, but can be included if needed for clarity. Now let's return to our pumpkin example one last time to see what a half section view would look like in real life. So we got Jack back in his box, and this time we're just going to look at him in the front view. The broken out section view is the simplest type, and it modifies one of the standard orthographic views. So we've decided to bust out Jack's face. We just cut a jagged edge and cut to an undetermined depth, and it displays some detail of the inside of his guts in all its glory. So then when it's folded out with its view, it goes along with it, showing out a partially broken out part in the front view in this case. We've reached the end of this lecture, and we'll see you on the next one.